Lately, I've been thinking about a lot of crackpot conspiracy theories, and one of them that came to mind was the Paul is dead conspiracy. The theory goes that Paul McCartney from the Beatles died in 1966 in a car crash. After the crash, the British government supposedly replaced him with a lookalike known as Billy Shears, or any other random name that some people came up with. Full of grief from losing their bandmate, the rest of the Beatles decided to hide little clues inside album covers and songs. For example, on the cover art of Sgt. Pepper's, if you mirror the letters in the middle of the drum, it will spell out a date, I guess, and it has like a point that points at Paul, supposedly. On the back cover, George Harrison is pointing out a lyric from the song She's Leaving Home. In quote, it says, "Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock as the day begins." This is supposedly the time he got in the car crash. Speaking of Sgt. Pepper, on the first song, they mention the name Billy Shears as the singer. This is where the name originates from. Also in the song Day in a Life, it talks about someone who blew their mind out in a car, which is supposedly supposed to mean Paul. On the front cover of Magical Mystery Tour, there's letters spelt out in stars. This supposedly is a phone number upside down, and if you call certain phone numbers on there, you'll get certain answers from people such as Billy Shears or the real Paul McCartney, or anyone else like that could give clues. In the booklet included with the album, it has a picture of Paul in a uniform with a sign right above him saying, "I, you, was," or something like that, as in he was alive. On Magical Mystery Tour, at the end of Strawberry Fields Forever, in a little sound that happens at the end of the song, you can hear George or someone else saying, "I buried Paul." In the poster that's included with the White Album, you can see a portrait on the bottom left corner of the whole poster, which is supposedly the final picture and only picture of Billy Shears. On the cover of Abbey Road, you can see Paul's the only one without shoes, which I guess means he's like a corpse or something. Also in the background of the cover, you can see a car with the license plate 28 if. At that point, Paul would have been 28 years old by that year. On the White Album with the song I'm So Tired, at the very end, there's a bunch of garbled gibberish, but if you reverse it, it says, "Paul is dead, man, miss him, miss him, miss him." Now the final question with all this information that we have at hand, is it true? No. Not even remotely true. First off, with the Sgt. Pepper's drum cover clue. No, the date doesn't match up with anything. Second off, the back cover clue. The photo shoot that was taken where George is pointing is completely unrelated and was not planned at the same time as the lyrics being on the back cover. And it being there is a sheer coincidence. Thirdly, the Magical Mystery Tour cover situation with the phone number is also just complete bullcrap. The word Beatles being spelled out in stars could be done anyway. Even if it's not spelled out in stars, you could probably still drum up some phone numbers or something. Fourthly, the White Album poster clue is just Paul's passport photo. Fifthly, the Abbey Road clue with Paul's shoes not being on is also just because the context of him having sandals on in the previous shoots wasn't there in the original photo. The car thing is also just a coincidence. Paul even joked about it later on in one of his live albums during his solo career. The Strawberry Fields clue is also false. Later on, George stated that it actually said cranberry sauce. Speaking of, all these song coincidences are probably just someone being told with the prior context that it has to do with someone being dead, or Paul, or any other situation like that. In conclusion, Paul isn't dead. People who believe he is, you can have your fun. But if you are really still convinced that he is dead, go listen to the song Glass Onion. In conclusion, we really shouldn't be wasting our time on these conspiracy theories. I understand it was a fun little conspiracy theory that people in the 60s and 70s did to enjoy and listen to music again from the 60s. Now, more likely it bonused and benefited the record companies such as Capitol and EMI at the end of the day. But it's all fun and games. I mean, you shouldn't get too mad about it. I'm lying. People who believe this theory are idiots.